Hey, what's up guys? Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training. And in today's video, I figured it would be helpful if I shared with you 7 things I wish I knew when I first started hitting. I'm telling you, the sooner that you actually know these 7 things and you understand them, and then more importantly, you apply them into your swing, the sooner you do that, the better off you'll be. I think you're in for a treat in today's video. I'm telling you, these 7 things are gonna help you take your game to that next level. So without further ado, let's jump into the very first thing I wish I knew when I started hitting. The first thing I wish I knew when I started hitting is your mental approach is much more important than mechanics. And it's tough because whenever we're at practice, obviously we're trying to groove our swing. We're trying to improve our mechanics and get our swing completely dialed in and as perfect as we possibly can. But especially the higher and higher and higher you climb up the ranks of baseball, you'll start to figure out that baseball is a mental game. Sure, you want to have a great swing. Sure, you want to have bat speed and develop strength and all that kind of stuff. But again, the higher and higher you climb up, the more you're going to realize that the mental approach, what's between your ears, is much more important. Things like, having an aggressive mentality at the plate, trying to come up with an actual game plan of what you're trying to accomplish at the plate instead of just going up there and swinging away. Trying to, put yourself in the pitcher's shoes and figure out, okay, what is he most likely thinking right now? How is he going to try to approach this at bat? How is he going to try to get me out, and how can I counteract that? Thinking about, executing in different situations. Okay, runner on first and second, this particular many outs, what am I looking to do here? Am I swinging away? Am I looking to hit the ball in a particular area of the field? Am I looking to, hit a deep fly ball, a sac fly, drive in a run? Is this a possible opportunity walking up to the plate? Is this an opportunity where my coach might tell me to lay down a bunt? Is this a hit and run opportunity? These are all things that you need to be thinking about. And I wish I would have understood a little bit sooner that, yeah, mechanics are important. You want to have a great swing. I get that. But what goes on in between your ears is truly what makes or breaks you at the end of the day as a baseball player. The second thing I wish I knew when I first started out hitting is the number one thing that you should look for when you're struggling at the plate is your timing. You should check your timing, because believe it or not, having either good timing or bad timing has a big time correlation to your mechanics, believe it or not. So a lot of players, they might get into a bad habit of, man, I'm hitting so many ground balls. I'm hitting weak rollover ground balls. And so they automatically start to assume it's mechanics and, oh, I'm doing this with my top hand and all that kind of stuff. And in reality, what might be causing you to consistently do that is you might be consistently early. All right, so your bat is on plane with the pitch, but because you're early, now all of a sudden your bat is beginning to come off plane. You're beginning to roll your wrist. Your bat's beginning to come off plane. Maybe you have an around the ball bat path. You're hitting the top part of the baseball, and that's what's causing the ground balls. And it all comes back to simply your timing, right? Yes, you can try to manipulate your hands to correct it and stuff, or you can just try to figure out, how can I get on time more often? Same thing if you're consistently late, right? If you're consistently late, you might, develop a bad habit of pulling your head, because your brain tells your body the only way that I'm going to be able to create space and catch up to this pitch is if I pull my head. And so on the surface, it might look like, oh, I'm just pulling my head. But in reality, again, you can trace that back to timing. I've seen hitters who, they don't necessarily have the best swing, the sweetest swing, the greatest mechanics, but they have really, really great timing. And if you arrive consistently on time, good things are going to happen. But if you arrive consistently early, consistently late, your timing's all over the place, you're going to start to develop more bad mechanical habits. You're going to be off balance. Lots of bad things can come from bad timing. So number one thing, before you start worrying about what am I doing mechanically, when you're struggling at the plate, look at your timing first. Number 3, this one's an obvious one, but you can't hit what you can't see. And what I mean by that is, again, we focus so much of our effort on developing great mechanics and, developing more bat speed. And we work hard in the weight room so we can get bigger and faster and stronger. And all that stuff is great. All those things are things you should be doing. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that your number one goal as a hitter is you have to, actually make contact with the baseball. You have to actually put the ball in play. And so you can have the greatest bat speed in the world. You can be the strongest guy in your team, but what good are you if you have, lightning quick bat speed, but your bat speed doesn't matter because you swing and miss every single time. And so I wish I knew a little bit sooner, do some things to make sure that your vision is locked in, constantly improve your hand-eye coordination. And when you're at the plate in a real game, truly watch the ball. Even in batting practice, it's a skill that you need to constantly be working on. It's not something that all of a sudden, yep, I know how to watch the ball. It's something you have to develop over time. Make sure that you're not just going through the motions in BP. Make sure you're truly watching the ball. Keep your head down even after you make contact, and then transfer that over to the game, because that's the most important thing, right? Nothing else matters if you can't actually square up the baseball and put the ball in play. That's, step one as a hitter. And so I wish I would have known that sooner. Yes, mechanics are important, strength, bat speed, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, simplify. You got to see it. You got to watch the ball. That's the only way you're going to be a good hitter. Another thing I wish I knew sooner, this one's huge, is the yes, yes, no approach. And you're probably familiar with this. You've probably heard, dad or your coach talk about it, or me even on this channel. But the yes, yes, no approach is really an approach that you take to the plate where you tell yourself, yes, I am swinging until it's a ball. And you're telling yourself, as the pitcher's going through his windup and as you begin your load and your stride, you're telling yourself, yes, 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 on this particular pitch, I'm swinging. Yes, yes, yes. And then if it's a ball or if it's a pitch you're not looking for or whatever, then you say, oh, no, at the last second. And it's so much easier when you're committed to swinging to, hold up at the last second and take an aggressive take. It's so much easier to do that than to try to tell yourself, maybe if this pitch is a good pitch, I'll swing. And you're trying to decide whether or not to swing as the pitch is coming your way. We just don't have that kind of time as hitters, right? Hitting, the fastball gets to us in such a short period of time. The decision has to be pretty much made. Yes, I'm swinging. And then the only decision is, oh, no, put the brakes on. Tap the brakes, stop sign, stop. That's so much easier to do than being 50-50. I don't know if I'm going to swing. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. By that time, you're going to be completely frozen. So I'm telling you, if you have not applied this into your game, it's going to make a world of a difference. Tell yourself at the plate, yes, yes, no. Moving on to the next thing I wish I knew, the launch position. In other words, failure to launch, right? I think when I was a younger player, I had no idea what I was supposed to look like, the position I was supposed to get into when my front foot hit the ground. So you load and you stride, and when your front foot hits the ground, I had no idea what a launch position was. And the more that I studied it and watched what the most successful hitters on the planet do, the more I realized, hey, they all have a little bit of a different stance, and they might all load a little bit differently. They might all stride a little bit differently, right? And have their hands in different spots and all that good stuff. But they all look virtually the same when they get to their launch position and at the point of contact. And so there's some absolutes to the launch position. I've talked about it in another video, so I don't want to go too far in depth in this video, but just understand, I'm a firm believer that if you do a good job of getting to a really good launch position, a lot of the other things in your swing are going to kind of take care of themselves. And so some things that, you can look for just really quickly, when you get to the launch position, your front foot should land slightly open about 45 degrees. You should be in a nice athletic position, have a nice wide base, and be sunk into your legs, right? Because that's where you're going to generate a lot of bat speed and a lot of power. You should have some good length in your front arm here. You should have the knob of your bat facing down towards the catcher. Obviously, your eyes on the baseball. Again, we've covered this in other videos, so go watch those if you want to learn more about the launch position. But this is something you can consciously focus on in your training that's going to make a world of a difference. All right, and the sixth thing, another biggie. I wish that I knew the power of swing thoughts. And what I mean by swing thoughts is basically one or two words that you can think about, and that allows you to have success at the plate, because you can't get too brain heavy at the plate. You can't be thinking about a million different things. You can't be thinking about the situation and what the pitcher's going to throw and simultaneously be thinking about, okay, is my stance good and where are my hands at? And I got to remember to do this and stay back and stay balanced. If you have a million different thoughts, all that's going to cause is, confusion at the plate, and, you're really going to have a hard time pulling the trigger. And so instead, what I like to do is, and you can actually do this in practice, okay? So let's say in BP, you're having a lot of success, you're hitting the ball hard when you tell yourself, keep your head between your feet. That's something that'll allow you to stay balanced, keep your head between your feet. So If you just tell yourself during batting practice, head between your feet, head between your feet, and you have success that day, well, then write that down in your notes section in your phone or whatever. And then the next practice, you'll know, okay, all I need to think about is head between my feet. That's going to allow me to have success. And then on game day, again, you think about head between my feet. And that's so much easier for your mind to kind of wrap around and cling to just one simple swing thought, as opposed to, okay, I need to keep my head between my feet and I need to do this, I need to do that. That's an easy way to get confused and have a hard time pulling the trigger. If you just have simple swing thoughts, that'll go a long, long way. It's the same thing that, you can do in between, if you're a golfer, in between rounds of golf. You're working on the range, and you're going to find that there's one or two things that you're thinking about that allow you to have success. Same concept, but we're bringing that to baseball, and it'll go a long way. And then the very last thing, this one's really important, I wish I knew when I started hitting, is every single pitch, every single at bat, be in the box ready to hit. I hate to say it, but there was plenty of times when I was playing that I would throw away pitches or throw away at bats because I wasn't truly ready to hit in the batter's box. It might be, your very first at bat of the day and the first pitch that you see, and it was a fastball right over the middle of the plate, and it was a pitch you could have crushed, but you weren't really ready to go. You thought you were ready, but you weren't really ready, and it maybe took you a couple pitches, or worst case scenario, that first at bat to get yourself ready to go. And so maybe you had a good second, third, and fourth at bat, but your first one, you kind of threw it away. Or vice versa, maybe you got a couple hits, so you're 2 for 2, and your third at bat, you come up and you're not truly locked in, you're not ready to hit because you're thinking about, hey, I've had some success today, and you start to kind of relax, right? Kind of get complacent. And so I would tell you that, the season, it's a long season, and, your goal should be to try to throw away as few pitches and as few at bats and as few games as you possibly can. That's what's going to allow you to have consistent success over the long haul, and that's what's going to allow you to hit for a higher average. So don't throw away at bats. Every single time you're in the box, you're not trying to see pitches, you're not trying to walk, be in the box ready to hit.